do a little banter back and forth until.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. So we are live on a special Wednesday night. Sunday, we had some stuff happen. I was sick. It was the Super Bowl. And we decided not to compete with the Super Bowl. So it was fine.
I was sick as well. I just had no urge in me.
Yeah. We've been dealing with crap. Let's just say that.
Yeah, obviously. So, sorry everybody for getting started a little bit late today. Our guests had some issues. As you know, tonight we have Stephanie Burke and Scott Porter on, and I'm just gonna blame it on Scott for doing his hair. So we'll just say fashionably late.
Yes.
But with that being said, why don't we go ahead and bring our guests on?
Absolutely. Let's bring Scott on. And then we have Stephanie here too.
Hey, guys.
Hi,
Hello.
how are you guys?
Listen, I was rapidly trying to shine my golden locks before we started this because I was told last minute that it had video. And I was not prepared. I looked like I had just crawled out of bed.
Stephanie, that's on you. You're supposed to prepare this man for everything.
And that's not my job. I get enough going on.
Yet.
You know, it's tough. It's a school night. We have kids. It's bedtime, so we're trying our best.
No
well,
worries.
with that being said, I really appreciate you guys being here tonight.
Hey.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
I hope you enjoyed the Taylor Swift concert on Sunday. So,
I thought it was the Usher concert.
well, I mean,
I went to the Usher concert.
No,
So-
it was the Dunk
She went
Kings
to
concert.
It was like Taylor Swift concert at the Usher concert.
There we go.
Every 5 seconds they would show Taylor Swift. So.
It may have been more like the Taylor Swift drinking competition that looked like.
That's what I was
the moment that she was like chugging the. Yeah. How fast can she chug a cup?
I think that's it. She was playing along with the every time they show Taylor Swift, you have to take a drink challenge. So I think that's what she was doing.
She did.
Yeah, I think we found that on TikTok, and she's like, "Okay, I'm game. Let's play it." Every time they show me, do. But
what was funny about it is they released it and said that she was only on air during the entire broadcast for 52 seconds.
Yep.
You know, that's funny because they didn't show her as often as they did in regular season. So I think that was, intentional.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think so.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sure. Stephanie's over here with her own conspiracy theories.
No. I'm good. I can't hate on her. I mean, she's out there supporting her boyfriend, and I've supported this guy through a bunch of weird stuff. So
hey,
I can't
hate on her.
No, not at all.
Definitely. So I do have the little trailer for your show. Do we want to show it so people know
we
what?
can do that.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna take us off, and then we can show it real quick.
Sounds good.
Eloise Asylum was a living hell.
There's something here.
You can't understand the haunting without understanding the history. Thousands of patients died.
And not everyone left.
This place has all the markings of a dangerous haunting. I want to find out exactly what they've experienced.
All right, I'm trying to connect.
That's a voice.
Is there anyone here with us?
My hand just got cold. It's starting to feel like we're picking a fight
Something rushed up behind me.
with something we shouldn't be messing with.
Guys?
Are you okay?
And the deeper we get,
Look at this.
The haunting started here before Eloise was here.
the more I have to wonder, are we the ones looking into Eloise? Or is Eloise looking into us?
Something's done.
Oh my God, you're bleeding.
We need to get everybody out of here now.
Secrets of the Asylum, streaming now on Fox Nation. Sign up at foxnation.com.
Hold on. Yeah, stop the music. Stop the little video to continue. But that was your newest show, Secrets of the Asylum. We had just had Jenny Hand on, who's one of the paranormal investigators of Eloise, last weekend, I believe. So we learned a little about the history already with her. So why did you guys pick Eloise for the show?
Oh gosh.
We didn't.
we didn't. I mean, we were working with our showrunner. We were talking about needing a place or looking for a place that had a depth of history and multiple layers. And so when they found Eloise, it worked out timing wise. The history was vast. It was deep. There were so many layers there. There was a good amount of controversial or questionable deaths that had taken place. It just had a history that was rich. We didn't get to know all of that, so it was kind of
I
like
didn't know anything till I showed up, so I can't say anything.
I knew very little.
No, what you see there in the show is exactly how I showed up. He drove the car, pulled up, and I get out. I was like, where in the world did you take me? I only knew that I was in Michigan, and that was it. And I've only been to, I think we went to Detroit once in previous years together, and that was it. So I didn't really know anything. I didn't know much about Eloise to begin with. I do know that our showrunner had done at least one other show there with a different paranormal show. So him having that experience there, I think led him to wanting to go back and dive deeper into it. And I think that that's probably where the connection came from, if I had to take a guess. But that was decided before we were even on board. And like I said, I wasn't allowed to know anything. So I was in the dark.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the best way to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really didn't have a choice considering what my role was on the show. So
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, when you investigate like we do, that was crucial that she was Chinese walled from all the history.
yeah. Yep, I wasn't allowed to know anything, even for weeks afterward. When I would come up with information on the show and Scott would write it in his notebook and the whole crew would be in on it and the researchers were already starting to do their job, nobody told me if I was right or wrong for about 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then even then, I didn't get to know anything. The only stuff I got to know at like the 6-week mark was like some of the historical documents that were uncovered that we had to film those scenes for. So like as I'm filming that scene and I'm reading a historical document that I know I talked about before, that's when I got to find out that my information was correct. So it was a tough thing to go through for myself.
So a true surprise for you as you're standing there reading that document going, oh, wow. Oh,
yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Completely
I mean,
authentic.
nothing like catching the raw emotion of it.
Yeah, that was pretty much what it was. And it was super frustrating for me because normally like anybody would want validation right after finding, something. No, I wasn't allowed. Even we took a 3-week break, babe, to go to Ireland.
Yes.
And our showrunner was in Hawaii, and there was one piece of information that I really wanted to know about, and it was, if you guys watched the show, it was about Dr. Marker. And I'm like, hey, did you ever, all I wanted to know was, did you make a connection? Did you make a historical connection to a Dr. Marker? And on FaceTime, our showrunner was like, can't hear you. Sorry, it's cutting out. Goodbye. Connection's
Driving
bad.
through a tunnel.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Beautiful beach in Maui. I'm like, fine. I'll wait.
That
But
that had to have eaten at you. Like you're just
did.
like with any psychic medium, anything like that. Like you want that validation of like, hey, did I at least get something right of this, or was I just talking about somewhere else? Like,
Right.
I mean, I knew what I could see. Like I'm
Mhm.
very different than most, so I can physically see them as well.
Mhm.
And I knew what I was seeing, and I knew that, and I've been doing this my entire life, but professionally for about 20 years. So I know that whatever information I'm being given, there's no mistake in it. And you learn to trust that over time, and you learn to build the confidence in that over time. And when you get into that, like, you know that what they're providing for you is correct, but can it be matched up with a historical document? Because that's what we need for the TV show. And that was my biggest fear, is sometimes that stuff was not written down, especially in a god-awful insane asylum. Things were done to those people that were not documented at all. And we were
just
lucky
like
to come
prisons, they
across
were
a
kind
lot.
of brushed under the rug.
Yep.
Mhm.
So we were very lucky to come up with as much as we did. And let me tell you, some of the stuff that they found, I don't know how they found it. It was so minuscule and so tiny. Like, to be able to come across some of that stuff, babe, I'm sure you're thinking the same thing I am. Like, the teeniest names in the corner of a page, like, to match up to what I said was just insane.
The thing that shocked me is that our research team was so good. They reached out to family members of people who worked there, family members of people who were patients there, family members of people who were quote unquote subjects there, and they spoke to these people to find out if they would share, if there were any journal documentation or anything that had survived, time, that they could dig into or look and see if we could find something. And in some cases, that's where information was hidden. It was not recorded in someone's journal. It was in a dusty box in a back of a garage somewhere,
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Or some of the things are validated with just those personal stories.
Yeah, the personal stories of
One of the
everyone.
things that I had said, I believe I said it the night that we first started to communicate with Harmonia in the tub. And when I got in the tub, one of the things that I had said to both him and our showrunner was, do you know if they had people hooked up to machines and shocking them while they were in the water? And of course, the logical answer is absolutely not. Like, that's monstrous. Why would anybody do that?
Yeah.
Scott and Rob shut me down almost immediately, saying, like, there's no way they would do that. It wasn't until, I think it was even probably that week, that you interviewed that guy that had the personal story to confirm that.
Well, he was employed there, and he was very young when he worked there. He was a orderly, I guess is what you would call him, and he was walking, doing his rounds through the rooms and making sure things were stocked or the way they were, or clean, or whatever it might be. And he walked into one room and he witnessed it firsthand. Someone in the tub, and they were shocking them, and he later found out that they were performing some type of test where they were evaluating how much electrical current the human body could take before it perished.
Oh wow.
Oh jeez.
Yep.
So, to give you an
But
idea,
that's not documented. They would
Yeah.
not document
No.
that.
I wonder why.
Government contracts.
Yeah.
there were.
Yeah.
Military contracts, government contracts. Essentially what we learned about Eloise, and we don't know everything because the way we had to go in there and do certain things, we only know what we learned along the way. And from what we learned, it was it became a wonderful place with marble, beautiful walls, and you walked in and it was a beautiful place to be. The way it was decorated, the way it was handled, the way it was taken care of. Dropping off a family member would have been comforting to these people. And that first building, the one that we were operating in, the K Beard building, you would drop your family member off, and if you continued to visit them, it was fine. But if there was 6 to 8 months of no contact, they had all of this entire underground tunnel system with access to the 70 some odd plus buildings that they had there, and you would just get shipped to the back and become a number in a test subject. And at that point, they had free reign of doing whatever that they could to do whatever experiment they wanted on people. A lot of people in the area are really proud of the fact that they tested the first x-rays on people there. Like, oh, that's such great technology that we use on people today. Yeah, that's great that we have that technology to use on people today. But can you imagine the first person that got zapped by that machine? They didn't make it out of there.
Right.
They were burned
It all
alive.
it all comes at a cost. And what was the cost?
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the cost? Yeah.
Death.
Death.
Death was the cost.
Yep.
You
And
don't
I'm
come
sure
back
the
from
doctors would say that it was for a greater good.
Yeah.
Of course.
And there's
Oh,
still people that are connected in that area that still think it's for a greater good.
Yeah.
But those poor people couldn't even consent. They had no way to consent to any of that.
No.
And where do those bodies go?
To the grave.
We know
Yeah.
where some of them went, but we don't know where all of them went.
Yeah.
Either a crematorium or they're just a numbered grave.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we found many numbered graves, about 7,000 of them that were mass graves. So 7,000 mass graves that we know of. And those are the only ones that are marked.
That's crazy.
There were journal entries and old writings about one of the waterways that was back behind the KBR building on the property, and during a flood, after the flood finished, it was a very bad flood. They went back on the property and walked along that creek bank, and it was riddled with bodies that had washed up because it was some other type of burial behind the KBR building.
Yep.
Yeah.
They unearthed a what they call it, a Catholic cemetery.
Yes.
In order to build their lake.
Wow.
What happened to those bodies?
They claimed they moved them.
Yeah.
But
Claimed.
they didn't re-inter them. They didn't
They
remark them.
claim.
We know how often that occurred back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, until we have another Jason situation going on here.
Yeah. Poltergeist.
You know.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
What was your overall experience with Eloise? Like, what? Like, I'm assuming both of you had never been there before.
Nope.
Never been there.
Okay, so what was your just a general overview of not necessarily the activity, but just like I'm huge into structural, like Waverly Hills, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Like they're just so structurally sound and beautiful in architecture. Like, what was your first pulling up to it? Like, was it one of those, oh shit, like, what do we get ourselves into?
what am I doing?
It's a large, ominous structure. It does not have the Gothic architecture that you would find at, the Waverly Hills, like the gargoyles and things of that. It's more the clinical when you look at it. When you enter from the front, you can tell that there was a certain amount of beauty that was in the building for those who visited the front rooms, or the foyer, or wherever whatever you want to call the entrance there. And it's a certain beauty to it, and it's majestic. But once you get inside the building itself, it's very sterile. It's very confining. You have the wired glass, you have the bars on the windows, you have numerous things that just stand out at you. So it's it's very clinical when you get inside. It does have the windows are in it, so that's a great thing. Keeps the cold out, not like Waverly Hills where everything comes through, including raccoons and possums and things of that. At least you didn't have to worry about that in Eloise. But it's a different feeling. When you look at these buildings and you think about their size, they're very ominous. They are all very ominous, especially when you think about the history that took place inside the walls.
I think the energy speaks for itself. And
Yes.
I think I was less concerned with what it looked like rather than what does it feel like. To be honest, I don't even know if I remember seeing anything the first night. And it was very dark too. Seeing it during the daytime and the days following, it's gutted. There's nothing really left there. Like the pictures that you have up now are just a few random pieces of, furniture or equipment left. The day rooms that they were in are completely gutted. It's just one large room. Some still have almost like, I don't know what you would call them, but like metal poles where you can tell like they were separating parts of the room at one point, or, part of a wall or a partition. But that's it. I know now it's pretty clean inside. I know when they first took it over, it was kind of just falling apart. So they've done a lot of work inside for sure, but I was more concerned with how absolutely god awful it felt when I walked in, because it's imagine walking into a place where there was no structure at all and people were just being tortured nonstop, what that would sound like to you in your wildest imagination. That's what it sounded like to me walking in there, just constant screaming.
Yeah.
So, and the place didn't trust us at all. They had no trust whatsoever. I think within less than an hour of walking in there, I had my hair pulled and something rushed up behind me.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Within an hour of walking in there, we had a cameraman whose back was scratched open and bleeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
I remember that.
That was enough for us to be like, all right, great. Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
You know, how do we fix this? How do we change this?
Yeah.
That was one thing, though, I think that's worthy of talking about, is because over the years, you know, I've had numerous people tell me that they've been scratched or injured by the spirit world, and I've always taken that with a grain of salt, because I've been in some of the nastiest places you could be in, and you know, and at times have tested the limits of things that needed to be tested, and had never had anything happen. But to be standing there, both of us, looking at this cameraman as this happened to him, and realizing that there was no way that it could have happened right in front of us in a logical manner. And then, you know, further investigation, you're seeing that the blood is beginning to ooze. So you know that the timing of when that happened was right then. Yeah. And then you start thinking about it like an investigator. You're looking for clues that will tell you, is this a natural phenomena or is this something else? And I mean, we're looking at the shirt and looking at the texture of the shirt, the type of material. It's that real slick material, that sweat wicking material, and it wasn't a golf shirt. It wasn't a stitch out of place. And if something had scratched him to the shirt, that would have been all messed up. But the scratches were underneath the shirt. There was no one behind him. There was nothing on the wall behind him that he could have rubbed up against. I mean, we looked at everything. And so, you know, when something like that happens, you know it takes an immense amount of energy to cross that veil and do that type of work. For it. So, of course.
To be honest, when that happened, when a seasoned camera person falls to their knees and drops a piece of equipment worth hundreds of thousands of dollars and doesn't care about the equipment, I thought he was having a heart attack.
Yeah.
I thought at that point in time, like, how are we going to get him down 5 flights of stairs and get him medical attention immediately? And when he started talking, I'm like, okay, he's good. Everything's fine. Scott and I have worked in the medical field. So like we both went into that mode of like, something is seriously wrong. And he just kept yelling that something was stinging him and to lift up his shirt. And that's when we saw it. And we left after that point. He never came back. He refused to come back. He flew home a few days later and quit completely. So it was the first.
How many people were on your team, like total, like in the building while you were filming, or
less than 10?
Yeah. Yeah, we had a very small crew.
Yeah, we did it on purpose.
That was one of the stipulations for doing this was, you know, we wanted a small crew. We wanted to be aware of where everyone is at, you know, at any given moment. And so when we were out filming and investigating, you saw, you know, myself, Steph, you saw Ryan on occasion there. Yeah. We had 2 camera guys. In some cases, well, we had 3 there until one quit. We had 2 camera guys, an audio guy, and then 1 person extra who may be there to go back and forth and get equipment or take notes or whatever the case may be. And actually, after a period of time, we quit having them. So it was just be like, you know, 4 or 5 of us that were actually on the floor. Everyone else was confined and locked in a room where they had everything they needed there. You know, they had all the stuff they needed, so they didn't come out in the building.
Okay.
It was very, very it was a very sanitary environment as far as human interaction.
Well, we needed that too, because we wanted to make sure that we didn't have a lot going on. We didn't have anything that was going to get in our way, disrupt anything that we were trying to do. We didn't want even a bunch of walkie-talkies going off, because that's the number one thing that will set off equipment that we have
Oh, yeah.
going on.
Definitely.
And a lot of people don't realize that walkie-talkies can do that. And there are people that do it on purpose to turn equipment on. We wanted nothing of that sort. So, and our crew were completely on board, full believers in the paranormal. So we made sure of that. There was one of our poor producers was so stealthy, and he tried to stay out of the way the entire time. And I kept feeling for energy, and I would of course pick up on his because it was living and it was strong. And I would come around a corner and meet him face to face. How many times do you think I screamed in his face, babe?
I would say at least
I would say a
8
lot.
the first night, maybe 8.
I would say
That's the first night.
over 20 throughout filming.
Yeah,
and
for
it just
sure.
became a running joke that I would scream in Zach's face.
Yeah.
And he just would laugh when it would happen, because he's like, I'm trying so hard, but I just end up screaming in his face anyways. So, cause it was dark, it was pitch dark in there.
Yeah.
Unless you had a flashlight, you couldn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they would shut off all of the ambient light around the building, like on the outside off. So there was nothing coming in.
Yeah, you got as much off as you could. I think the night that we had the most people in the building was the night that we split up and did all 3 floors.
Yeah.
Because we had a camera guy with each person. We had an
We
audio.
didn't have extra people though.
No, we didn't have. We had. I think we had one audio guy that. No, we had 2. No, we had one audio guy that night, and he just kind of split the difference. That was it. Yeah, we were skeleton crew the whole time, which was really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like the show so much, because you didn't have like so many people around. You were very small. It felt like even just watching the show, you could just feel it was like a small group of people in that building.
Yeah. We definitely wanted it to be more documentary style than just a quick, here's what we're doing and, get in and get out.
Yeah.
We wanted people to try to follow it from like start to finish to really see our process.
Yeah. I think I binge watched the whole first season.
We did too.
One day. Well, I think it came out right as I got COVID. So it's like that first day I got COVID, and I'm like, okay, I need something to watch. And then I saw Stephanie's post and then Scott's post. I'm like, okay, here, this is going to give me.
Check this out.
Watched about 6 times throughout the whole 7 days. I'm like, this is great. This is awesome.
Yep.
I remember at Gettysburg last year, you were talking about a show coming out soon. I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep watching their Facebook posts and see when it's coming. And of course, it happened right when I was getting COVID. So I was like, okay, that works out, kind of.
Good timing. Not good that you got COVID, but good timing.
Yeah, no, right? I mean, at least gave me something to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
I
set.
hope you would watch it without COVID.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
of course
Right.
I would.
Go ahead, Russ. Sorry.
No, you're fine. No, with what happened at Eloise, have you ever been to a location that gave you that fight or flight instinct? Like, shit, I have to leave, or I'm gonna stay through this.
It's intriguing. Eloise is a different creature, and I think out of all the places that I've been, Eloise is probably one of the more unnerving locations. Because it's there's something there, and I'll let Steph kind of go into detail on this, but there's something there that it gets in your psyche, and then it goes with you, and it affects you. It affects your ability to think. It affects your emotions, and once it's able to affect your emotions, it feeds on that. And so then it really starts to break down your inner circle. And what we found throughout the investigation was whatever this thing was, it had been doing that for years. So it's very efficient at what it does. So I can let you elaborate some more on that.
It almost kind of sounds like a psychological attachment rather than an energy attachment. It sounds like a psychological attachment where it just gets into your head and it just breaks you down.
It's not an attachment though. It just does its job while you're there.
Yeah.
So it's essentially the easiest. I don't know. Did we talk about it at the end?
No, we didn't. We kept that in our pocket because we don't know.
So I have to keep it there then.
Yeah, because we're going to dig in deeper. What we think.
We know why it does what it does. We filmed part of that, but it's being held for season 2, so we can't really talk about much. But
Yeah.
it I can't really say that Eloise gave me a fight or flight. Like, I've been back since, and I'm fine with walking through there. Do I love the energy of it? No, but would you ever love going somewhere where so many horrible things happened to people?
Yeah.
You know, like, as that's anybody's feeling that's sensitive to energy. They don't have to be a psychic or medium. You know, like sometimes you just walk into your room and you're like, I don't like anybody here. You know,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
this feels uncomfortable. I want to go home.
Don't let her kid you. She walked in the first day and she goes, ooh wee, yuck. I don't like it here. Let's go.
I did.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I told you the third floor. I can't remember. You have it written down.
I've got it written down some over the book, but yeah.
Yeah. He wrote like little messages to like remind himself of what I said about the floors, and it was like 3 okay, 4 awful, 5 barf.
So
yeah.
I'm going to Eloise hopefully next month at the beginning of the month, when we're in Michigan. So I'm a psychic medium empath. What are your suggestions for anyone visiting Eloise that might have their abilities?
Don't go.
Well, I'm going.
Well, I
Easiest
mean,
way to keep you safe, you know.
No, we want them to go. They have to go. Go.
I know. Well, I mean, no matter what, there's nothing I can tell you that's going to stop you from feeling something. I mean, I think everybody has their own methods for how to protect their own energy. I have my own, and I can tell you that I protected my own at all costs. I protected his. Spending 2 weeks there, we were in Eloise more than we were at our hotel. So we didn't sleep at Eloise, but we were only at the hotel long enough to catch like 2-3 hours of sleep, shower, and go back. So immersing yourself in an environment like that, there was no running from what we were doing. Plus, we were looking for it. We had to. Yeah. I think you'll probably be okay walking through as long as you're not spending an entire night there. Then you'll be fine. And the entities there aren't really trusting of anybody either. They're not willing to talk. They're not looking to jump out and talk. They really understand intention. And Scott and I have operated on this platform, I guess, for as long as we've known each other, which is 7 years, that your intention is what matters most. Spirits can sniff that out 3 miles out, 3 days out.
For sure.
And a lot of people that go into locations like this, like, oh, I can't wait to investigate. I can't wait to see what's there. They want the thrill of the situation, where we're going in going like, how can we help you? We're here for a different purpose. And I think because of that, they eventually broke down pretty quickly and started to talk to us and give us some pieces of information and bits and pieces of what their story was, when they finally realized, like, oh, these people aren't leaving. They're actually trying to tell the proper story to whoever. We were able to go back there and at least say, like, hey, you know, we told the right story for you. And for what that's worth, we hope that it did you a favor, or we served the purpose that we were intentionally, coming in to serve. Yeah. But I think as long as you have good intentions and you walk in there, they'll probably just leave you be. If you're just looking at, the location and you just want to see the location, then you should be okay. But spending time there and like really like digging deep like we did, it's going to take a toll on you no matter what. We did an event there. That was fine. Everybody left fine. I got sick after I left. Not surprising.
We did capture a very interesting picture of you, though, while we were there that time.
Yep.
We've not figured that one out yet. But,
no, we haven't posted that one yet either.
No, we haven't posted that one.
You're keeping a lot in the pocket.
Yeah, it's a lot.
There's
damn contracts.
And there's a lot to unpack there. And right when you think you've got your finger on the go button, you figure out that
another piece of the puzzle.
Wait a minute, that stops there. That's not this piece. This piece continues over here. I thought we were talking about, well, and to give you an example, when we were in the cemetery, we kept hearing something about a horse. Steph kept hearing something about a horse. And the big thing, we're like, how does a horse fit in with this? Never knowing that back in the history, the site was the original home of the Black Horse Tavern. Yep. And yes. So there's lots of twists and turns in the history of the location and in the spirits that are there.
Yep.
I bet.
It's a lot.
That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Like if you watch, when you watch the show, if you see some of the interviews, you hear people talking about. There was one interview, I can't remember her name. She was a grad student or a student in college or whatever it was, and her job was to go to Eloise and interview someone that was there. And she met a young man who was a patient there. He had gotten mixed up with some drugs. Very highly educated college graduate, but he was on drugs, and part of his restitution was to get cleaned up at Eloise. And she explained to me how when she first got there, said he had it all together. He was cool. Very outspoken and easy to talk to. On her next visit, said there was an obvious change in him, and he had mentioned that he said there's this shadow person or person that keeps showing up outside my door, and then she had that conversation with him. The next conversation she had with him was that this shadow person was now coming into his room and was trying to get close to him. And he had obviously lost a lot of weight and was looking, very frail. And he told her, he said, "You have to get me out of here. You've got to have them move me somewhere else." And while he was telling her about the shadow person, there was another person in the room that overheard them. And he said, "You see them too? They're here all the time, and they will get you. They'll be there. You'll see them during the day." And anyway, she left, and the next time she was trying to go back and visit him, she was told not to. She was told that if she did go back or try to contact him in any way, shape, or form, that she would fail her class.
Oh wow!
So it was there's something that is super intelligent and super aware that is there as well.
So there are those higher powers of like you're on the cusp of exposing us of what we're doing, and you need to stop.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily. We believe whatever's there has a job.
Yes,
It was. That's hired. The best way. Yeah.
It was hired. Yeah.
And that's about all I can tell you. I want to tell you everything.
Are you wearing cargo pants at this point? Because you're keeping lots of things in pockets. So, I mean...
No, if you ask Scott,
I've rented a storage
everything
building.
In his. I make him wear the cargo pants so I can put all of my belongings in all of his pockets.
I know the feeling, trust me.
It is. Yeah. It's amazing how deep and these stories go. And then once you get in there and you start diagramming it, it's amazing how intertwined they are. Although they're all separate stories and maybe
different time periods,
maybe even centuries apart, there's still a similarity to the story.
But we believe that what we've uncovered may have caused the pattern over the years too. It's fascinating. It's mind-blowing. It's frustrating at the same time. We would dive down, like the whole purpose of the show when we got there, and I don't think we talked about this with you guys, was we asked, like, what do you need us to say, when we show up? We just said, "Hi, my name's Stephanie. Hi, my name's Scott. This is Eloise Asylum." That's it. Everything that you guys see us say on the show is just us and our banter and everything else. Unless they told us, like, "Hey, you just have to mention, like, this location while you're talking to make sure you say it the right way." That's it. There was no script to the show at all. So what our showrunner said was, we're going to allow the spirits to write the show. So again, putting more pressure on the fact that I had zero validation of anything that I was saying. Anything that I came up with psychically wrote that episode and then wrote the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So all of the information that I got, they did their research, proved everything that I said was historically documented. And then it went to... that's the lead we followed until we came down on something else. So that's kind of how the progression worked. But in doing that, like, you see us uncover things about Lulu and Grace in the first episode. Yeah. It quickly switched to Harmonia, which then quickly switched to, I can't even remember what the third episode is at this point, even though I've watched it at least 1,000 times. But when when all of that is changing, we're going down these rabbit holes as far as we can. There's like an offshoot to another rabbit hole. It goes deeper, and then another offshoot, and that goes deeper. How do you find your way out at that point?
I compared it to an ant colony.
One? Yeah,
I compared it to an ant colony.
Like.
Yeah, it was
going
crazy.
in circles at some point. We were going down a new rabbit hole, then we couldn't remember what the original rabbit hole was, and it was all so deep that it was mind blowing. And we feel like there was so much more left to do there, and so I mean, thousands of people that were screaming and wanted help, and our job was to try to really figure out like the bigger picture too.
Yeah. I mean, it really felt like you were in that movie. What is it? As above, as is below, where the further you go down, the higher you or the closer you come to the surface. Yeah, it's crazy.
It was a lot.
How many notebooks did you fill, Scott? Well,
I had one good journal that I kept with me the entire time we're in there, and just keeping quick notes. But if you saw the paperwork that was on the tables in the PO, I mean, we had stuff stacked everywhere. And then the hotel room, you saw we had plastered on the walls and boxes full of material, and there's just so much because today's investigators do research in online, and I think a lot of people assume that everything's online, and that's one of the big things that I've always enjoyed was that a lot of things are not scanned. A lot of things, there's still history out there that's not available unless you dig for it, and it's part of like when we found out about Harmonia. I mean, we were in there doing the investigation. We heard names that didn't relate to anything that we were aware of. We just knew that there was a name that was coming through, and so we went and researched the name, and that's how we found out that her coroner and the person that did her autopsy, his name was Edmund. And we had no clue that that's who that was when that came through the spirit box or through the echo box.
Yep. But what they said was spot on with what he was trying to do right after her death. So everything was so spot on with everything that we found. It was actually eerie to come across it sitting there, and it was like stacks and stacks and stacks of just manila folders with tons of information.
Wow.
I remember the research team coming out. Do you remember that gigantic like newspaper book?
Yes.
That they had at one point? They had tons of them from the historical societies. Like if you Google Eloise, there's like maybe the same 5 stories that are available on the internet, and like that's it. Everything is either lost to time or in those archives, or I think at one point somebody said like there was some weird auction with like a bunch of stuff, and like it's spread out throughout like residents of Michigan. And then because I know there's like people that collect oddities and stuff that have just random pieces of Eloise. I know the local historical society has like an entire room dedicated to Eloise.
I saw that on Josh H show. Yeah.
Yep. I wasn't allowed to go in there, and I don't know if you had or not. But when it came down to it, like it's spread out everywhere. And not a lot of it survived either. But you get to think a lot of what they were doing, they didn't want documented and, lasting into generations later. So a lot of it's a mystery.
Russ, you're muted.
Sorry. Since the show's aired, have you had people reach out to you that have investigated going, hey, I kind of got the same thing you did, or like correlate with what you guys captured?
Nope.
It's interesting because most people who investigate, they'll spend a few hours in a location here and there. And, they may get similar names in some locations or some things, depending on how, and I believe that it depends on how intense the entity wants their story told. And so they're reaching out and trying to get someone to pay attention to more than just the fact that they had a supernatural event. And, and so people they scratch the surface. And if they ask those questions and they start digging into it and they find some connective and Steph will tell me that this is my favorite term, and it is. They'll get a piece of information. They'll find something that connects it there, so that connective tissue that brings it all together, and that's where they stop. And so they don't take the opportunity to continue to to dig deeper and see if there's an underlying story maybe that fuels that, or if there's something that is just hidden somewhere in time. And so when we were there, we spent those weeks there at a time, and really immersed in the history and the spiritual energy that's there. And that opens up a different door. I mean, it's even all the other shows that I've ever filmed. We may be on site for just a few hours, or for one evening, or something like that, or maybe 2 evenings at the most. But to spend weeks in the same location, digging and digging and digging, you build a personal relationship with whatever entities are there.
You're eating there 3 meals a day, basically. Yeah. We essentially became part of Eloise during that time. And I think that proved to the spirits that, we had different intentions than what most people do. But at the same time, like you were saying, most people are happy with just, feeling something brush up against them, hearing a noise, catching an EVP, and then they go home because they feel satisfied. Where we were digging for something much deeper. And that was just our purpose at that time. I do know that since we've been back, I had that absolute insane experience with Harmonia on the 5th floor when I was up there by myself, which I was absolutely terrified to do, because I knew what happened up there. That's where our cameraman got scratched. I knew what it was capable of, and I knew that if it was going to go after anybody, it was going to be me while I was by myself. And that music box that we used, Harmonia loved. She loved that music box. And she set it off so many times in response to what I was saying. And it was so strong that when Scott came up and scared the absolute crap out of me in the dark, he joined me for that part of the investigation. And she responded really well to us. We went back and we had the same music box with us. And I think we built such a relationship with her that she did it again for everybody that was with us, just repeatedly, nonstop, the entire time that we were there.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was amazing, though, because it took her a long time to figure out it was there. But once she did, she didn't want to leave it alone.
Right. You didn't want to leave it alone.
I took it out of the tub, and there's no way it can be set off in that tub unless you're actually in the tub, because it's motion activated and the walls of the tub come up around it. But I actually sat down in the hallway outside that room, and I pointed it toward the wall away from me and put it in my lap, and nobody was around me. And at that point, she set it off while it was even in my lap. So she became really comfortable with us. And I'm thankful for that, but it's absolutely heartbreaking at the same time being a mother and having that situation take place, knowing that she was only 10 years old.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking, yeah. Learning about her story and seeing it on the screen in the show.
It was hard.
That's hard, yeah.
It was very hard.
So, will there be a season 2?
We can't answer that. That's in one of the cargo pockets.
Cargo pants, yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully, because I like I said, I watched the whole first season multiple times. I think the first time I couldn't stop. I was just laying in bed, just being COVID, watching it. I'm like, this is so good. It's not like any other paranormal show because you're really digging into the Eloise stories. You're not like the other shows who go for a couple of days and that's the end of it. You dive deep into each of the little stories that you came about throughout your time there.
And that was the whole thing is, and like I'd said before, a lot of shows, even shows that I've been associated with, you go in, you do the investigation, you may get a little piece of information, you have an experience to show or to tell, and then you move on.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, your place is haunted. No, your place is not haunted. Whatever the case may be. But For us, it was more about, okay, yeah, you've got something here, but why is it here?
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Why is it still here? Who's it that's still here? What is it that they want to tell? What is it that will place them at ease? What is it that will help them to settle whatever it is that they still have going on? Or what will just, they may not want to leave, but maybe they just want to rest. Maybe they need their story told. And that was the big thing about digging in and not just scratching the surface.
Now I know what Jen is going to go with here next, because I see her having up in the background. One question before we jump into that: how did the town take to your guys' presence? Like you guys coming in and digging into the secrets of Eloise, was it like a mixed feeling, kind of like just let it lay where it is, or were there people who are like, yeah, I want to tell my story?
It was a mixed bag, because you've got some people who had a great experience there, who sought medical care, got exceptional medical care, and so that's the part that they know, and they don't want to have that blemished by anyone looking for the underlying bad things, because they choose to not believe that existed.
There's a lot of people that were born there too.
Yes.
When it became a hospital.
And you have a lot of people who just don't want to talk about it, or out of fear of being ridiculed, made fun of, or being, people thinking that they have lost their minds.
Yeah.
And then you have people, and you see me going door to door trying to talk to people.
Yeah, you did that. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so funny. There's so many of them that didn't make it to air that were funny, and bad.
What was your most memorable one?
Oh my God, this girl came to the door, and when I told her what we were doing, I thought I honestly thought, we got to go. She's going to shoot us all. She is going to shoot us. We have to leave now, because she lost her mind. I mean, I was 12 kinds of ugly when she got through telling me what she thought about me coming to her door, knocking on her door. And I'm a nice guy. I'm just bearded and bald, but I'm a nice guy. Okay. I had a smile. Like, hey,
You're okay.
I mean, you guys, if a 6'2" gigantic wall of a man who's bald and bearded with a serious face shows up at your door, I don't think I would feel warm and fuzzy. I didn't have my thinking face on. I think it's a little intimidating.
Excuse me, I'm here to serve a warrant.
You know what?
Right.
If it was before Haunted Towns and the other show he was on, and he came to my door, I'd be like, and locking the door.
Right.
I'm calling the police.
So, and I know who he is. I met Scott 2011 in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I was
But it's because
I will say that the first time I met Scott in Gettysburg years ago.
Yeah.
I've watched you on numerous TV shows prior and everything.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I get to meet Scott. Okay, cool. I walk in, I see you, and I'm like, damn.
That's what I said when
okay. I'm like, I'm 6 foot tall. I mean, I'm not very hefty built, but I'm just like, oh, okay. It actually took me a while to come up to you.
Me too.
Even though we were at a convention, I knew nothing was going to happen. I was kind of like, maybe after another beer.
It's so funny. A lot of people will come up to me and be like, can I say hi to Scott? I'm like, I don't give a shit. Whatever. Go ahead. The only person he's gonna bite is probably me, and you're fine. It's okay. But I had a guy, I don't know who it was, came up to me at Gettysburg this past year and was like, where's Scott? Is he not gonna be here today? I was like, no, I got rid of him. And he was out getting me something. I can't remember what. And I was like, no, I got rid of him. And the guy looks both ways and goes, it's about time. And I died. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, it was just a long time coming. I'm making up this whole story. He comes up behind me at some point, kisses me and sits down. And I was like, sorry.
He's back.
In all fairness, Stephanie, that would be a believable story at any point.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Any point.
Nah, I'll keep him.
You'll keep him around for a little bit.
I'll keep him. It's been 7 years. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, I think you're stuck with him.
I like it.
Like, once you get to, like, the point that you have told the stories of Eloise that needs to be told, do you think you would kind of, like, continue the show, but, like, at a different location to speak their stories?
I think that would be the hope for sure.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity there. I think that there's many locations that could use that type of research. Because there's stories everywhere, and people experience similar things, and so they think that that's the story that's haunting whatever's there. But what I'm starting to really find as we dig into these multiple locations that we visit and visit repeatedly, they're underlying stories that don't make themselves known right away. And you really have to dig, and you really have to build that relationship with whatever's there in order to be able to uncover that particular story. It sheds a lot of light on what we do as quote unquote paranormal investigators.
Yeah,
For sure. All right, Jenny, you want to put up the graphic there a little bit? You guys are going to be in my neck of the woods here in a month.
Yes, we are.
You are going to be literally 10 minutes from my house.
So, yeah.
Okay. We're excited.
And
for
the
this
woman running this event, Christy Parrish, love her to death.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love Christy.
She's amazing.
To death. Yes, she is.
I've known Christy for almost 20 years.
Wow.
So she's a great friend of mine, and
she's good.
I can't say enough about her.
Oh, she's absolutely amazing. She saved me during COVID, so I mean that's definitely something to say. So, but this is one of her new locations, Haunted Holbrook.
Yes, it is.
So the Holbrook house in Weymouth, literally right up the street from my house, just as the Oliver house is, just as all the Emery estates, everything like that. So tell us a little bit about this little event you guys got going on a bit.
So we were able to go into this location. I can't remember what month we went.
We did a whirlwind tour of several of the locations.
We did. But this is one of our first stops that we had made, and nobody's ever investigated this location before. The Weymouth Historical Society is in charge of this location. We were able to meet with them and kind of do a walkthrough with them, and some of the artifacts that they had on display, which I'm not sure if they'll have everything that we got to see that day on display, but the usual stuff is still. It's almost like it's a little museum inside.
I got to touch Abigail Adams' dress.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. We have pictures of it. I'm such a history nerd. It's not even funny. So being able to go in and see something like that, I was just looking around at all of these random objects that they were just cataloging and, dealing with. I'm like, oh my God, what have I entered? Like, this is like a dream come true. They have a room there that has centuries worth of military memorabilia. We were able to hold actual uniforms that were on the Civil War battlefields.
Wow.
And they've got Revolutionary War stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah. So
World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, Korean War, all of it's there.
Everything. So it holds a lot of energy because of a lot of the objects that are there, but the house itself is from the 1700s, and the family that lived there was a prominent family in the area. So who's to say what is there, what still lingers there, what continuously visits there? There's a lot of energy when we did go inside. So we're really, really excited about being able to go in there, do a first investigation. We were honored that they asked us to kind of kick it off. And I think one of our favorite things to do is raise money for these historical societies to keep history alive. You don't really ever see us doing events at like the usual places that everybody flocks to. And it's not because we don't have anything against them, but if they have a steady program where they have continuous investigations every weekend,
Yep.
That's wonderful. You know, that's amazing. They're getting the funding that they need. But these little locations that are dying off because new generations aren't visiting and, you know, joining a historical society. It tends to be, you know, an older generation that's still running a historical society, and you don't want it to die off with them, and you don't want them to have zero funding either. I've been doing events in the New England area for about 20 years, and that's always been my thing. And when I sucked Scott into it, he was in full agreement that, like, we have to keep history alive. We wouldn't have ghosts without history, and we wouldn't have history without ghosts.
Yep, exactly.
So-
And that's like I moved from it's coming up here in November of this year. It'll be 8 years since I moved to the New England area, and you know, I'm originally from Ohio, and I'm a huge history buff. So
Yep.
think about somebody going from Ohio to Massachusetts, and
A
I'm just
little
like,
overwhelming.
I'm in my glory right now.
Yeah.
Like, take me here, take me everywhere.
To get you over to Europe.
There's
That
so much
would be
hidden
great.
history too.
Oh, yeah. I'm stuck in Minnesota, so we don't. We got crap for nothing out here. And whenever I go to the East Coast, I'm like, hey, Wes, where do I go?
Calm down.
I'm like, whenever I go to the East Coast, I'm like, okay, Wes, where are you going to take me now? And
Yeah.
he took me to the Oliver House in 2000.
We love Oliver.
What, 21?
I got
22?
married at the Oliver House
Oh, that's
Oh,
awesome.
nice.
because it
That's
was actually
amazing.
during COVID.
Mhm.
And our venue we had booked shut down, and it was right when they were like releasing the how many people can be in one place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Christy worked it out with me. She said I could have 20 people here because
Yep.
I got married on Friday the 13th.
Okay, there you go.
So
Yep.
I mean, you know, the Oliver. That's where I said Christy really saved me during COVID
Yeah.
because you know we wanted that date and it all worked out. And I tell you what, it was such a fantastic time. And I tell you what, the spirits were alive in that house that
Yep.
night.
Oh, yes.
They really were.
They are. We've spent a lot of time in that location too, and we have such a deep connection to that house as well. And we've been able to do some really cool things there too that we are also in the cargo pockets.
Oh, come on.
but, um,
I mean, I never would have thought that I would have
Right.
had a supernatural relationship with Ben Franklin.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
You know?
even, you know, hold a very specific button from a very specific coat from a very specific time in history that
Yes.
you just happen to stumble upon in the front yard.
Yes.
It is very
wow.
specifically in a cargo pocket right now.
Very
Yeah.
specifically in a cargo. Well, no. It's actually on
It's
display.
on display
but
at the house.
It's on display.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to go back. I have to go back to the Oliver House because that place.
That's it. I'm driving there tomorrow.
You can
ask
probably
Christy
do
the
that,
story.
Russ. Christy will probably meet you at the house. Like,
Oh, she would. She'd just be like, yeah, come on over.
I think that morning Russ is like, I have a location for you to go check out. Meet me here. He sends me this address. No, like, info. Like, just here's the address. You'll see it when you get here. And I'm like, I walk through the doors. I'm like, this is like living like American history. Like you could just
Yep.
feel like all of that history
Yep.
just walking through the halls and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to move to the East Coast, but I can't.
I think a lot of people move to the East Coast just for the ghosts.
Yes.
Yeah. Just the guess.
Yep.
I
would
thought
move
I
to
was
the
at it.
history. I would.
But you know,
I
there's
wanna-
layers of there's layers of history everywhere. So even in Minnesota, what I'm sure, and I know, and something that just keeps ringing in the back of my head about Minnesota. And weren't there some discoveries made there that alluded to potentially a Knights Templar connection in Minnesota?
Mhm.
That's what I thought. Okay, so there's some stuff there you can gig into.
I know.
Listen, if you sit
A
and
lot
listen
of
long
people-
enough,
No, don't let this
Experiences
gray
tell you
matter
that
start
story.
churning. I'll find something for you to go hunt.
yeah.
A lot
like,
of people
"Hi,
in Minnesota
Jenny."
aren't open to the whole like paranormal ghost stuff. It's very like I could probably count on my hand how many open locations there are
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
that you can
Yeah.
go in and like actually like they will talk to you about the
Yeah.
paranormal.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you go in and just start like researching, and then you're like, so with all of this built up history over time, have you experienced this and this? And they're like, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's same thing on the East Coast in certain places too.
It really
Um,
is. It's very
yeah.
hush hush sometimes up here.
There was a
Yeah.
place down in Tennessee that we did an event at that didn't want us to mention the absolute torture that the Native Americans went through on that property, because Taylor Swift had filmed a music video there, and it was a big wedding venue.
Oh,
And we're like,
okay.
but it's history. You
Yeah.
can't rewrite it. Like, revisionist history should not occur ever.
No.
I mean, you know, there's, and I think that's the thing that people, I think people are so appalled because they apply modern thought to a time that our way of thinking did not exist or apply. It was a different world, and you know, we learned from that and we moved forward.
Yeah.
But to erase it from history doesn't give you the reminder that this thing happened,
Right.
and remember it so that you don't repeat it and do it again.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know, and what we've done is we're getting to that point where we're like, oh, this was bad and this was ugly to think about and talk about, so we're just going to erase it. We don't want people to know about this. If they don't know it, then you may circle back to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't
And we
wanna
don't want that.
history.
And that's the one thing you just said, actually, Stephanie, that I really loved. I know, I think Scott cut you off there. Damn you, Scott. But
How great is that?
That's okay.
you
She
were
does it
saying
to me too.
If you
We
sit
both
long
do it.
enough and listen, they'll talk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, they'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have the patience, and you have to have the right intention to do so, and the right energy, and they'll tell you anything you want to know.
Yeah.
I've walked into so many places and rewrote history, and I love that part about what I do, because sometimes the story's wrong, and that's why they linger. But if you can find that little piece of information hidden away in a journal somewhere in Grandpa's attic, you have your history proof.
I mean,
yeah.
and it's like, and don't give up. Just
No.
because somebody shut you down, don't give up. I worked on one location to try to get into for probably close to 20 years,
Yep.
and finally got permission to get in.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
And
Things change hands, and people change
Yep.
their, and also money talks.
money talks.
Money
Yes, it
talks for
does.
some people if you're willing to raise money for them. That's why we do what we do for historical societies, because as long as you can keep a building going, that's all that matters. I did it for a place here where I live, and they have a military museum that is run by veterans, and I come from a Marine Corps family, and that holds a really special place in my heart. And you know, my grandfather fought in World War II. My father was a Vietnam vet, and I don't take lightly to stuff like that. So they had no funding. It was all older vets just running this place, hoping, you know, that they can keep it going by donations. They'd have to shut down during the winter. So we did events there. In order to raise money, we were able to help them keep the heat on all winter, so people could keep coming to visit, so they get donations. They had no funding from the state or anything like that. That's enough to drive anybody crazy. So,
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
you know, doing the right thing by history and the people that helped make history.
Always,
important.
always.
Always.
So one of the biggest events of the year, of course, the Battlefield Bash.
Yes.
Yes.
Such a great event to go to.
I got
Jenny,
hooked last year.
Jenny got hooked last year. It was her first one she ever been
Yep.
to. So definitely an awesome. And when you talk about raising money, this is not raising money for a historical location,
Right.
but this is also raising money for terminal and sick children, as well as our military veterans as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So 100% of proceeds go towards that. And when I say 100%, I mean 100% of that goes towards that. I've seen the receipts.
Yeah.
And Pam and Steve put on such a great event. And I'm going to be interested to see the location change this year.
Yeah, that's going to be different. I heard it's really big.
It's
and
huge.
I was doing so well navigating the one place that I was used to, you know.
I was
talked
finished
to
with that place when I found out the Appalachian Brewing Company left. I was like, this is done. I'm never be back.
last year. We were not
Beer was good. Yes. Food.
I like the wings. The wings were awesome. The root beer wings.
ABC.
Oh,
ABC was good. Their beer was good. I've been there multiple times. But their food, like I got the pierogies and everything.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like, I just nothing to write home about.
Listen,
Root-
unless
root-
you
root
grow
beer
up
wings.
Polish, you can't eat pierogies just anywhere. Okay.
I
Well,
grew up
take
in a
it from
town in
me.
Ohio. I grew up in a town in Ohio that was severely Polish.
Listen, my
And
grandmother was
they
off
would
the
make them
boat.
handmade.
Okay.
Okay, all right. I'll
Like,
give you that one.
I can make a mean guamki. Like,
Oh,
you can't just eat those anywhere. You gotta be careful where you eat those.
Yeah,
Um,
true. Now,
I
Scott,
love-
they're having a wrestling ring this year.
I did
Are
see
you
that.
gonna,
Wrestling.
Are you gonna get in
are
it?
you gonna toss your hat into that one?
No, you're not. You are no. No, sir.
Well, I
You
mean,
have been broken enough over the last
Maybe
year.
when she goes to bed.
I am
No.
broke up pretty bad. I have been broke up pretty bad. I'm just now recovered from having torn both my distal biceps tendons.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, so I had to have surgery to have one of them reattached. It was completely broken. So yeah,
So
it
we're
was
not going to
nasty.
be doing anything like that.
So
We're going to keep.
like
doing
I asked my doctor. I'm like, why is this happening? He goes, well, you're not 20 years old anymore. And I'm like, you're a jerk. Put it back together.
I can
I
see a
think-
main event of you and Gene Sinsky going at it together.
We're going to leave that to professionals. I know our good friend Lloyd is going to be doing that. So he's amazing.
He's like, you've wrestled cows and stuff before. You can do this.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, you know,
I know. Like,
Our best friend Tim, I think, is going to be emceeing the event.
Yeah,
'Cause
Tim
he's been-
Weisberg.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
He's
Tim's
been
a
a
little boy to me. I see him often.
he's been doing wrestling for years and years and years. You know, in the ring, not actually wrestling, but you know, calling the event and doing the announcing. So
yeah.
I think that'll be really exciting. I know we plan to be there, I think, the whole time.
Mhm.
And I got to talk to them, but I'm sure I'm table tipping again this year.
I might
Okay.
have to
So-
do that if you do. Yeah.
I know we talked about it, but I usually email them around this time, like, "Hi, am I supposed to set up an event?" And they say yes, and then I do it. So I haven't done
Actually,
it yet.
Jenny, ask a question. I can actually look this up in 2 seconds, actually, because they actually just released like the
Schedule.
It's not
schedule
there
for
yet.
it.
Oh.
Because
I
I haven't
know,
picked a
'cause-
date.
Russ, before last year, Russ keeps telling me, like, you have to come out to Gettysburg Bash. You have to. I'm like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
is this big thing about Gettysburg Bash? He's like, I've heard about Michigan Paracon. I've done Michigan
Mhm.
Paracon. He's like, no, this is totally like something different. So last year we finally got like, we were supposed to go the year before last, but something happened. And
I think
we
COVID
weren't.
happened.
COVID
No,
happened.
it was
Yeah.
I think it was the first year back from COVID.
Oh, okay.
Was it? I can't
Um,
remember how many we've had now. 2 maybe?
And yeah, 2, I think. And well, so we came back. We came for the first time last year, and
Mhm.
I'm like, this is nothing like any other paranormal event. It's like one big happy family reunion.
hmm
Yeah.
Pam and Steve welcomed us with open arms, and
Mhm.
like people like Bob Christopher. Like I've never met him in person, but I knew of him on Facebook, and he knew of me. He saw me across the room. He goes, "Oh my God, it's Jenny Davis." I'm like, "Oh, hi." How many these people like you know on Facebook like call you out across the room? It's
Yeah.
like kind of like creepy, but kind of really cool at the same
It's
time.
a very friendly event.
It really
and
is.
very
It's like-
personal.
Yes, very,
Um,
very. And after what happened last year, I mean, last year really got me because you know one of my close personal friends was affected by that hydro spout or whatever it was that we had,
Mhm.
The
and
straight
just
line
seeing
winds.
everybody pull together
hmm
Yeah.
and do what they did, that was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was surprising. I don't party, like, secret about me, but like I'm just not a drinker. I'm not a partier. I have no problem socializing, but like usually by the time, especially working those events, like we're at the table all day long.
Yep.
And then I have just enough time to like hurry up and like squirrel away some food like a chipmunk. And then I have to do table tipping for hours. That takes the life out of you. So
Oh, yeah.
I think we had just gone outside literally mere seconds before that happened.
hmm
And I noticed the clouds moving too fast. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm watching his face. I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be good. Because if you want to know the weather, you ask this guy. He's been a farmer his whole life. Like, he can tell you
Was it
anything.
kind of one of those, we need to go now?
Yeah. No, that's exactly what he said.
Get inside
He said,
now.
get inside now.
Yep.
He looked at me like that. And I can't remember what I did, but I think I hurt my ankle or something. And I just ran. I just ran. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to be running right now, but I ran. And at that point, I could feel the wind hit behind me. And he was trying to explain what happened and what it was. But man, stuff flying everywhere. It was insane.
I know. I was already up in my hotel room at that point, and normally I'm the one that's up till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But like last year,
cool.
like I had a table last year, so I was at the table all day, and like barely got a break. So I'm like, I went out, I had a couple drinks with everybody, socialized, and then I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna take a shower, I'm gonna relax, you know. And then my buddy Jeff called me and was like, hey, you need to come downstairs right now. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, my tent's ruined right now. And I went down and I was like, oh crap. Like, I'm like, there's broken glass everywhere. I'm like, let's wait till morning. I'll be down here 7 a.m. We'll help you clean up. Like, you know. But Stephanie, other words to that, they actually have you in on Friday. Time to be announced.
Oh.
There you go.
For table tipping with Stephanie Burke.
I'm going to have to try to change that to Saturday because I know that was my biggest complaint last year was that people wanted so badly to do it on a Saturday and they couldn't make it on the Friday.
Saturday, time to be announced. Stephanie Burke, table tipping.
2 days in a row.
Don't worry, you're not on Sunday. Don't worry.
There you go.
I think I did Saturday and Sunday one year, and then I did Friday only last year, and oh my gosh, people were so mad. They're like, we missed it. We wanted to come back. I'm like, all right. So I told Pam, like, we'll probably have to do 2 nights again, which is fine. Because I love being able to travel and connect with people in that way.
Of course.
It's so hard. I didn't realize until I started traveling full time about 7 years ago that many people in that many locations would want Reiki. They would want table tipping. They would want a Reiki class. They would want a private reading. There were some weekends, I would do 40 private readings in one weekend just to try to fit in as many people as I could, because just the type of person I am, like I would feel guilty if I left anybody out. And I'd be like, all right, just one more, just one more.
You're the same way I am. As if I look down and I see a line, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go through every single person here, regardless if I'm here till 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going through every single person here.
Oh yeah, that's what I do. Or photography, I do, and Reiki. I'm like, if you're on the list, you're going to get done, no matter how long it takes me to get done.
I think watching me do it for as many years as I did, like Scott will cut the list off. Somebody else will cut the list off at a certain point because they know I can't handle it that much anymore, and I really do try to do it, but. COVID was a blessing and a curse for everybody, I think. But one of the things that it forced me to do was phone readings. And I did it because of COVID, and now I can't change it because every Wednesday night I do phone readings, and I call all different countries and states all in one night because I'm reaching people all over that I couldn't normally reach unless I did an event. So, but I love connecting with people in person. And I love being able to bring table tipping to them because table tipping is so different for a lot of people. So.
Oh, sure. I saw table tipping for my first time last year, like actually being part of it. And I still have my questions.
I can probably answer them.
All right. Well,
we'll have to do the second show.
I will take that challenge.
I'll be in Gettysburg for 4 days this year. So I will sit down with you and
we can do it.
We'll have to get Stephanie on to do like a Reiki and a psychic type of show. Like
we can do
talk
whatever.
about Reiki
we'll figure it out.
Dive into it. Because I'm a Reiki master as well. So
awesome. That's awesome.
We'll definitely have to get dive deep into Reiki, and
I want to learn Reiki. I honestly do.
You should.
I've tried teaching you. I've tried teaching you. But I need to be in person with you to do it.
Exactly. I'm more of a hands-on learner since I am an energy worker to begin with. Like it's one of those things that it kind of feels like a natural step in the right direction as to, okay, this is what I need to do next.
Yeah.
But does it feel like there's some osmosis taking place since you're on here right now with 3 Reiki masters?
I could probably fit Jenny under my pillow for osmosis. You, on the other hand, you may have to go fully under the bed.
just slide under the bed.
He won't fit there either, I promise you.
Probably not.
Tried that too.
You'd have to be under your own bed. He'd be on the top of it. That's just
okay. Fair enough.
That's how it worked that way.
Yeah.
I certified Scott as a master teacher a long time ago.
Wow.
Because he was sitting in on every single class that I taught around the country. So
I think I took Reiki 1 like 18 times before I actually passed it.
you were fine.
But
I'm like, I might as well attune you. But I had noticed, I mean, we'd have to do a whole other show on this if you guys ever wanted to know all the answers. But well, I didn't even tell you what it was about yet. I could have said something absolutely crazy and you guys agreed to it.
Do you know how batshit crazy we are? I mean,
we have found that Chihuahuas love to push little carts along and pick up acorns. We don't know what it is. That's the show. It's the whole show.
If you ever sat through a road trip with us, you would never be the same. So
I will sit on a road trip with you guys. It'll be so much fun.
You'll sleep half the time. Hush.
I did see a lot of photos of you sleeping on road trips.
Exactly.
Oh my god, people need to stop posting photos of me sleeping.
People, it's your mom.
I know.
Yeah, it is your mom.
I know. And now Candy's doing it too, so don't worry.
It's just a trend, you know?
TikTok 2025.
But the thing that I was going to say, if you guys ever want to dive deep into, is the connection that Scott and I have had since day one when we met. And I think that's probably why our dynamic investigating together is the way it is. But I did notice early on in our relationship that, like, if I had a headache, he'd put his hands on me, you know, like on my head or just hug me, and all of a sudden it would dissipate and it'd go away.
Yep.
I'm like, all right, that's not normal. Like,
no, that's not normal.
I don't understand. And I think it was just our connection that caused it. But I started to feel so guilty that it was happening that I'm like, I don't want you to absorb my pain. So we need to attune you to Reiki.
I was actually just going to ask, do you think he was unintentionally absorbing that to make you feel better?
Yeah, we discovered that the hard way. So, like, how much time do you guys have?
This is going to be turning into a second show very soon.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys a quick funny story and why I forced him to at least be attuned in Reiki 1. I was doing an event with Dustin Perry one night, and it was just a quick little, like, cute event where he did a motivational lecture. I did a gallery reading. No investigating, like, no, like, haunted location, anything of that sort. And Scott came up to see me for something. I can't remember what now. And I was like, I don't want you in the room when I do this gallery reading. We were, like, newly dating too, like, under a year. So I'm like, ew, don't watch me work.
I don't want you to see me do this. You'll think I'm crazy.
Yeah. So, and he was, like, insisting on it. I was like, please, it's making me so nervous. Like, don't watch me do a gallery reading. It already is, like, nerve-wracking enough. Please don't do this. So he agreed to stand at the back of the room where it was kind of dark and I couldn't see him. So he, of course, hugged me before I started, and I stood at the front of the room, and I don't know how else to describe it, but, like, your body feels a very specific way when you start connecting to spirit. And I don't know how else to describe it to you besides it almost feels like a panic attack for me. My teeth will chatter. I feel sick to my stomach. And as soon as I start talking, it starts to dissipate a little bit. It runs the entire course of the time that I am reading until, like, the very end when I cut it off, it's, like, at its lowest. I felt nothing. I was like, oh no, I'm broken. Like,
damn you, Scott.
I don't know what's wrong. And I'm just
Give
like,
me your powers.
I can hear the information and, like, I can see it. So I just start going, hoping I'm correct. And everything I'm saying is correct, but I don't feel bad. I'm like, this is very strange. I don't feel right. I've been doing this the same way my entire life. Something is severely wrong. So I finish my gallery. I go to the back of the room to try to find him, and my best friend was there. And my best friend walked up to me and she was like, I can't tell you exactly what she said because we're on public things.
Go for it.
I can't.
I forgot the image.
So yeah, those contracts.
Yep.
So she's like, in the nicest way, shape, or form, she was like, he's really messed up. I tried to fix him and I cannot. And I certified her myself in Reiki, and she's like, there's nothing I can do. Like, this isn't okay. It's like, where is he? Obviously, being as large as he is. And I looked, and he was in fetal position with his head between his knees and his hands covering his head, sitting against
I was
the back
sitting in
wall.
a chair. Yeah, sitting in a chair.
And I was like, what are you doing? And I think you told me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while, but as soon as I started talking, he got like violently sick, and wanted to vomit, and didn't
Told
know
her I
what to
wasn't
do.
sure.
Didn't you say your arms
He
went
was
numb?
feeling everything through
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I said my arms went numb, and I'm not sure if I'm going to puke or poop.
So
Or both.
Or both.
yeah, so I tried to fix him, but normally if I do anything like that, a lot of readings, table tipping, gallery reading, I'll need a bunch of carbs after to kind of like just bring, the energy back down and ground myself.
Mhm.
And there was a bunch of pizza, everything. I didn't want anything. We're driving home and he's like, babe, do you want a cheeseburger? I'm like, no, I think I'm good. Which I should have known there was something wrong at that point.
Yeah.
I felt fine. We got back to the hotel after that, and you stayed up for breakfast.
Well, we did Tim's radio show.
Yep.
And I got a cheeseburger because I said I want a cheeseburger. So I got a cheeseburger, ate that while we were doing Tim's radio
You
show.
did. That's right.
Got back to the hotel room, and she dropped me off. She left. It was like 4 a.m, 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that. Breakfast started in 30 minutes, and I'm like, I'm hungry. I'm going to stay up. So I stayed up for breakfast. What did I tell you I ate? It was like 16 or 18 bagels with
Jesus.
it was 16 or 18 bagels with egg and like Canadian bacon and all this stuff and cheese on them. And then I ate, what was it, 2 waffles with
They're like Belgian waffles. So
yeah,
like
Belgian
they're
waffles
stuffed
with
and-
like stuff and smuts and whipped cream and
Uh-huh.
all that. And I hadn't ate anything like that in probably 2 years at that point because I was really, really, really on my strict diet then.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I could keep eating. I'm still hungry, but I better quit because I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
was
I did.
carb loading for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we essentially switched. It was like a Freaky Friday moment.
Yeah.
And I realized at that point that I had to do something to stop that transfer from happening again, because I didn't want him to take on my pain, but I certainly didn't want him to take on all of that feeling every time I did readings or a gallery reading. So I forced him to get a Reiki attunement at that point. He had taken the class like 18 times, like he said. I'm like, get your attunement. So that way you at least can protect yourself from absorbing. And it worked like a charm. And after that, he just kept going on his Reiki journey. So, yeah.
See, fun little story is I have a really bad tendency to channel. Like
Yep.
it's just
Me
I just do it. And I've come to find out my wife now is the only person that can bring me out of it safely. Because I've been brought out of it and I've come out of it swinging. But
It can
she
happen.
knows exactly how to bring me out. And there are multiple videos of me when I've been channeling that she's taken. And she knows exactly, like, whenever I investigate, she's always right there with me. Because she knows exactly what to do. She knows the look. She knows when my tone changes, everything. She knows me to a T.
So she just hits you first.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to have that person in your life.
Yes. You have to have that person.
Yeah, that's the same with me and my mom. Like me, my mom, Candy, Derek, and Chris. Like those 4 people know, like when I go in and channel, or when I don't even intentionally channel, they know when to pull me out and how to pull me out safely, because I can get so deep into channeling or the trance that I don't come out of it. Like I get stuck in that time. I'm like, I can't come out. So they literally have to. There's a way for me to come out that they know now, safely, because otherwise, if I come out wrong, I'm down for the night. I'm not able to do anything. I will, like, we went to the Monroe house last month, and I think we didn't come. They didn't get me out of the channeling as safely as possible. It was so deep and it was so very like a different type, I guess.
It can
And
be traumatizing.
yeah, it kind of was, because I was like, did I bring something home? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, to the point I was messaging a friend. I'm like, is something attached to me because I don't feel like myself. Like, I had to drink water, I had to eat chocolate. I was like, I don't feel like this is like a normal like channeling session for me. Like, and I guess it was really deep, and we had people on video call doing it. When I channel, I do it during like an SS method, but I don't use like the spirit box. I use that as like just the right noise, and I just let things channel. We had someone on the video call asking questions. We had another person, I think, on video call, and it got to the point that I could tell, like, I was watching the video because I don't remember anything when it happens. I was telling them, like, someone's coming down the hall, somebody's coming in, and I guess they were holding like numbers next to me, and I was telling them exactly what numbers we're holding. And the person that we had brought with has never seen me do like a channeling, and she goes, "Holy shit, you had me believed." I'm like, I don't do it. It's spirit. Yeah. It's the spirit of the house or the location that's talking. It's not me. Like, I don't remember anything. But there's a way for me to come out of it that those people that I investigate know how to bring me out of it. And you have to do it. It's very important to know who you're investigating with, and that way of like getting them out of, if they're channeling, if they're doing SS method or any experiment.
It's all opening yourself up to God knows what, if you think about it that way. I try not to do it because it's something I've been able to do my entire life. I think I only accidentally did it once in front of Scott up in Michigan. But at that point, at that point, I beelined for McDonald's as soon as we were done.
We left at like, I think 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, is there something open? Because I'm hungry. I wanted, like, I was hungry, but I wanted to puke at the same time. I'm like, I'm hungry. I want to puke. I don't know what to do.
What your mom just
And I remember staying up until like 5 a.m. that day. I'm like, I can't sleep. Like my mom said, the spirit did not want to leave you, and actually said no to us several times when we told her to leave. Like,
I think that happens to me every time we do like an Estes type double blind method. Scott just argues with him and tells him like, too bad, she's mine.
Yeah, I think that's what mine
you need to go.
That happens to me. I want to say at least every single time I put a blindfold on, because they want attention.
Let's end the show. We're definitely gonna have you guys back on.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have you guys back on.
Dive into a whole different aspect of the paranormal and metaphysical. Let's do a part 2 soon. I will get in contact with you guys about dates. But yeah, I want to dive into more of the metaphysical and the Reiki and everything, and dive more into that with you guys.
We can definitely do that. We appreciate you both for asking us to come on and talk about the show too. And
it's our honor.
We can see you guys in Gettysburg, if not before.
Yes.
I'll be there in July. And actually, I may try to sneak my way into the event in March. So,
I love how you said sneak his way.
Well,
we have a lot of people that said that so far. It's tough because we're only having
He'll probably just contact Christy and be like, hey, you need a worker?
No, that won't even work, I don't think, at this point.
This particular one, no, because we've had people that have been like, hey, can I come by? Hey, can I come? We're doing it in a split session with like 2 smaller groups, but only 15 people each. So
it's small and it's packed full of stuff, so it's got to be tight.
Well, you know what? If you have time for lunch or dinner, let me know. Like I said, I'm 10 minutes up the street.
Shoot us a message and we can definitely let you know.
Definitely.
So we'll try to at least, even if we just meet up right before, like we'll figure out something for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like,
if lobster's in season, we can get a lobster roll.
I don't think it will be yet.
Excuse me.
Try.
It's March.
Be March. Too early.
Besides Gettysburg and besides the one up in Massachusetts, what other events are you guys doing that people can come and see you?
Right now, Michigan Paracon.
Ooh, I'll be there.
Yeah.
I I don't remember.
We're working on something.
Cargo pockets.
Cargo
come on.
pockets again.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like you start working on these things, you can't really disclose them yet. But we're working on another really good good event.
Yeah.
It'll be a
Very
really good one.
excited for this year. We have a lot of things in the works. So hopefully you'll see him over the next couple months.
We're talking to a bunch of cons too, so who knows where we'll be at across the country.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know.
There
right?
you go.
You never
There you
know.
go.
So many ghosts, so little time.
Russ never knows where I will be. Like he messaged me on Monday. He'll be like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm in Indiana. Oh, I'm in Ohio.
Yeah, like,
I'm gonna be like 5 minutes from your house." Kind of
making it interesting. I love it.
she keeps threatening to move to the East Coast, and I was like, please don't.
He's just saying, like, I'm like his younger sister. I'm like, just wait until I move there, and then you're gonna really hate me.
And then she can teach you Reiki.
Then I will move and change my address and not let her know what it is.
You've done that once already, so.
But you willingly do a radio show with her every week, so.
Willingly is a different story.
I'm not high-tying you to it.
She can't hold a gun to your head if she's that far away. So.
Well, I do get the threatening text message. Are you coming on?
I love it.
Thank you too for coming on.
Yes, thank
really
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Yes, thank you.
You guys are so great.
Do part 2 very soon.
Like I said, we hope to see you guys soon and talk to you again soon.
Yes.
If not March, July.
Yeah, for sure.
Have a great
guys,
evening.
have a good night.
All right, good night, guys.
Valentine's Day to both of you.
Bye.
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 So that was Stephanie and Scott. We appreciate them coming on. Sunday, we will be back on Sunday at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. We have Adam Kimmel, who owns Madison Seminary, Fairfield ISS, and all these other amazing locations out in the Midwest. So be here, be squared. We will see you on Sunday. Anything you want to say, Russ?
Make sure Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, you join in on my show, Compass Curiosities, which will be streamed right here with Brandon Johnson, who is Ghost Guy Brandon on TikTok. You've probably seen him out there. He's blowing up out there. One of my very good friends also will be at Gettysburg. So definitely make sure to check that show out on Monday.
Yes. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a great evening. Happy Valentine's Day. Thursday tomorrow, I have Josh from the Searchers on Whispers Within.
Josh Purvis.
Purvis, yes. I can never remember his last name. I just remember
Josh Purvis.
On Whispers Within, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Unturned Pages, Whispers Within page, or Get Haunted. So come out, join us. But otherwise, we'll see you on Sunday. Have a great night, everyone.